Give thanks and praise. Much love, everybody. I want to present a much cleaner depiction of the Tarot-tory's concept. This will be short and sweet, and my primary objective here is actually to put forward some screenshots that I invite everyone to capture and keep in their own database for whatever uses they deem necessary. I will bring those forward in a moment. I have basically just some graphics that I've made that depict the application of the Tarot-tory's concept onto the United States and also onto a global map or planetary map, whatever you prefer to refer to call it. But first, I want to present a couple of images that really that touch me in a mystical way. I have a couple images of the gypsies, the Romas, the wandering people. They have the richest history of the use of tarot cards in the practice of fortune telling and divination. But I want people to notice on these particular images, one of which is called the fortune teller. I want people to see that the cards are placed on the ground itself. You know, often they're placed on a table, on a surface, a flat surface. But they are, in classic images, they are often placed on the earth. And the word terra is a derivative of the word for earth. And so the very name of the tarot cards is giving us intuitive direction to apply the wisdom of the order of the cards to the earth itself. And if you haven't seen my previous works, you will know that I have applied them to the dynamics of the heavens. If you look closely at this little dry erase board, I have tried to put a ghost image here. That is saran wrap. Yes, that's saran wrap I used. And I drew a very rough sketch of the United States and overlaid it onto the stations of the sky clock in correspondence to all of the tarot cards in their respective sky clock stations. So this is not the screenshot I am trying to convey. I've put some real nice stuff together. I'll try to bring that forward here. And you will notice that the Fool card is in the center of the United States in Kentucky. I do believe that Kentucky is the key of centering your tarot and your sky clock correspondences. And I've put together quite a few presentations in the past regarding how sports icons and mascots and themes are all predetermined by what is known as astrocartography. And for anybody who needs to, you can look that up. Maybe I'll put a link in the show notes so that people can get into astrocartography for themselves. I call it the Tarot-tories. But essentially, I just wanted to put a real brief presentation together and give people some tools that they can take a snap and refer back to later if needed. But what we have here is time and space, an overlay of time and space. And so this is not only the signs and symbols of the heavens merged with the spatial orientation of the earth, of the place that we are living in, but it's also a calendar. And so one thing that is very profound is right now we are in the fall. And essentially we are passing out of the Hangman and into the Death card. And I'm not trying to predict anything in particular, but being in the Death card, you know, this is the time of Halloween. Under the sign of Scorpio, we are in Halloween. This is where the veil is thinnest. This is when Dias los Muertos is celebrated. So some very significant deaths have been fading in and out through collective consciousness. We had Colin Powell, a black warrior who was leading in very aggressive agendas in his life, has passed away. And here you will see the Death card has that black flag waving behind him. So these icons and these symbols, they're incredibly appropriate that the news takes on the form that it does in this time of year. Colin Powell dying in any other station of the heavens would not make much sense. It makes absolutely perfect sense right here in the context of this station, this time of year. And in fact, you will see a focus in propaganda. You will see a focus in this quadrant of the United States. And so next I will bring forward the same concept as applied to the world map. But first I want to make a couple quick statements. One of which is that the 4 seasons are also archetypally depicted and preserved with these 4 symbols here, these 4 cards that I've put in these corners. And right now we are in the season of swords. As this moves clockwise, we are in the season of the fall. The swords represent fall, as the wind is cutting the leaves, as the harvest is being... oh, God bless the world. Twice. As the season is of harvest is in play, and that is why the Death card is integral to this part of the year. So we are in the season of the swords. We have commanders of military experiencing propagandized death messages, and we will be moving into the season of coins or pentacles or diamonds. This is the time of year of finance, where the bills must be paid, where you will essentially be resorting to financial savvy for survival, as the harvest is running out and you need to be thrifty. That's the word I want. This is the time of year for thriftiness, is in the winter. So here we have the cups, which represents the spring, marking this entire quadrant of the season, where there is, the rains will determine the value of growth going forward. And here we have the rods, which is the summer. So I just wanted people to see that the time and space correspondence, the 4 seasons, and a quick overlay of what the United States looks like, literally placed on top of the 12 stations of the heavens, in its classical understanding. I know a lot of people get into the different calendars, 13-month calendars. This is just the general rough overview. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty details, and it's not absolutely specific or perfect. There are, some of my drawing is a little off. Florida should probably be fully in the Scorpio, and the North Carolina should probably be a little more in Libra. But this is just giving a general idea of where that dividing line. This is the equatorial plane. This is the equinox. And this is the Mason-Dixon line. That is the foundation of grasping the Tarot-tory concept on the whole. And then here we have the solstice, the summer solstice above, winter solstice below. And that is lining up as best I could with the Mississippi River, the river of the Mississippi, which creates a yod right here, the Y, which you'll have to go back into my previous videos to see why the yod is the hand that turns the clock of time, that gives the rotation, the rotas, of the turning of the sky clock. So from here I want to jump into the Tarot-tories of the United States, the Tarot-tories of the global map as it's presented to us. I am not interested in debating the shape of the place that we exist in. I just want people to have these tools to move forward and, take a moment and look at these signs and symbols, these icons, and you will see that there is much to appreciate and learn from the overlaying what are basically standards of the collective awareness. That's really what I focus on, is things that are considered a standard, a progression, an order, things that are in order. And when you take them and interface them with one another, you start to see the consistency, which is something that I focus on. So on the global map, I'll try to go through this verbally, and I'll bring forth that image that I put together. The first thing that brought my eyes to the value of this astrocartography and the tarot of the globe was that the Hermit card, which is Virgo, it would land essentially in Tibet and even in the area of North Korea and very close to Japan. And all of those areas have a history, an established standard history of abstinence, of being closed off, of being removed from the world. And so the fact that the Hermit card lands near Tibet, North Korea, Japan is incredibly significant, and was the beginning of my thoughts around this entire concept. So moving down from there, you will see that, the Wheel of Fortune is very close to China, and also near the Japan as well, also not far from the Philippines. You'll see that the Justice card is right in around the Philippines, Taiwan, in that area. Dropping down into the Hanged Man, he is definitely located in the land down under of Australia, and the Hanged Man is upside down, having a lot to do with the cross of St. Peter. Peter's cross is an upside down cross in the southern hemisphere. Then you have the Death card, which I will probably put near India. I've also equated it with Antarctica, as that is the underworld, and the Death card seems to have much to do with like Hades, and the concept of an underworld. Also, that white flower on the black flag of the Death card makes me think of Antarctica for sure. From there, moving over, you will see that Temperance is right there near Morocco and South Africa, and I find that incredibly telling, as South Africa is a place where the blending of essences is definitely taking place socioeconomically, if you think about it. Also, Morocco has much to do with spices and herbs and the herb trade. And the Temperance card, she is working a medicine bowl, a mixing bowl. And so definitely involved in the spice trade, the spice routes. The Magi card, I actually put more in northern Africa, as I see it as relating to Ethiopia and the keepers of the Ark of the Covenant in Ethiopia. I also see it relating somewhat to historical Egypt, and I won't go too deep into that, but I see historical Egypt as more of a center of Greek culture than what they tell us Egyptian culture was oriented to. I put the Fool card in the Mediterranean, having even more to do with Greece and Egypt, and the kind of tricky history. Hermes was Greek originally. So I put the Fool card in the Mediterranean as the origin point of Hermes the trickster. Moving to the High Priestess, I put her in essentially West Africa, Northwest Africa, right there on the eye of the Sahara, the eye of Africa, where a lot of people believe Atlantis existed. There's much to learn about that. And moving down to the Devil card, this one is interesting. I put it in Brazil as Capricorn. We know that South America, they venerated corn in their spiritual ancestry. There was a lot of worshiping of the corn snake, but I find it very telling that Brazil has always been a source of brass and copper. And in fact, Solomon was known to have used copper to trap demons, to ensnare the 72 demons. He locked them in a copper barrel and cast them into the abyss. So I find it very profound that Brazil has that copper brass name in its name, and that the Devil card just happens to land in that quadrant of the map. Moving into the Tower card, I kind of put this in right near Florida and the Central America area. As you'll notice, those islands they're broken. There may have once been more substance to those the earthly elements in that the Gulf of Mexico, but they are broken. They've been eroded away with time. So I believe the Tower card belongs there, also having a lot to do with Florida and the phallus and the 16th letter of the alphabet. From there, the Star card is, I believe I placed that one near Galapagos. And moving up from there, you will see the Moon card is oriented near Hawaii, which is in the station of Pisces. And I put it there for very obvious reasons, as the Pisces is the fish and Hawaii is a nautical culture. Also, the Empress card, I place her in Southern California. I've said this before. I believe that in ancient days, there was a Khalifa in California, and I've phrased it as foreigner, a Khalifa, a foreign Khalifa. But I want to even put a little more nuance to that Twilight speak. I believe we might be dealing with the Khalifa of Naya. And Naya relates back to Africa. The Nyabingi, the Nubians, she was also dressed very ornately. So California, she was an ornate Khalifa. There's a lot to be said about the actual history of the empress who once ruled in the Californian regions. And then comes the Emperor card above that, card number 5, in Northern California and Washington area. Very interesting that we have that Washington name oriented to an emperor, as we know much about the veneration of George Washington. The Sun card I placed probably way up near Alaska, but I just also equate the Sun card with Orogon, as Oro means glow, it means gold, and gone is where the gold glow has gone away, is in the west when the sun goes down. Moving up from there, we have the Hierophant card is in, on the world map, it is in Canada, which is quite interesting to me, as I equate that with the fact that John Dee was once he was the land owner, that he held the title for all of Canada. John Dee was essentially the European colonialist, the original European colonialist who had the land title of all of Canada, which, was quite a bit of cultural appropriation, to say the least. But I just see the Hierophant as a correspondence to John Dee, for sure. Above that is Judgment, which, again, is even further north, to be technical, in the Tarot-tories than Canada, and it doesn't get much further north than that. But there are cultures up there, very remote, very obscure, in the highest regions, that we know very little about, and it would take it might be against your better judgment to go there and have anything to do with that area. It gets really extreme up there. And then moving around, we have the World card, which I put on Greenland. And anybody who knows about the theory of Greenland being the actual power center of Rome, of the modern day Roman Empire, then you can fill in the blanks from there. I'm not going to go too deep in it, but Greenland is the power hub of the world, is very compelling to me. So moving into the Lovers card, I put that right there near some more of those islands there. What is it? Scotland and Ireland. And I think that is very interesting, as there are myths and legends about Akhenaten and Nefertiti going into exile and retreating to Scotland and having their child named Scota, and that being the founding bloodline of the Scots. Jumping across into the Chariot card, it lands very near England, which, they are the throttling force of economics in the world. You got the city of London right there. They are also not far from Scandinavia, and Scandinavians were Vikings with their ships, with their vessels, with their ability to access all points very readily from that central location. And then moving across into the Strength card, I put that one in Russia, as I have gone into before. This strength and Russia go hand in hand. Anybody who's even remotely aware of what their cultural martial arts of Sistema is all about, strength training on a whole new level. It's pretty mind-boggling. Also, we have just a quick correspondence to the Avengers thing, was Natasha Romanoff. She is Russian. That latest movie they made was all about her and her Russian history. So moving down from there, we apparently, I think we've finished. I land back on the Hermit card with Tibet again. So that was a quick run through with the global Tarot-tories. And there's a lot more to say than what I just breezed through. And if you take a little time and you ponder it and meditate upon these signs and symbols, you'll see that they are deeply significant to the icons and myths and legends of these areas, these locations, and the histories that we've been given. But I wanted to just make a quick, easy presentation with a expedient overview of the entire concept, and just point out, where we are in the season right now. Definitely lands on the Death card. I'm going to put a little clip in the show notes if it's possible, but there was a mention of Joe Biden being the former president, and somebody in the news just let that phrase slip out. And a lot of ears perked up, and I find it very telling, as I see Joe Biden as an icon of the Death card, absolutely beyond a doubt. If you've seen my Four Horsemen appraisal of the modern day Chimera, you'll have some appreciation for the fact that I believe that Joe Biden is something of a lover's card archetype personally, and that he represents the horse, the pale horse, the horse of death. So if they are playing out prophecy, Joe Biden's got to go. He's got to make a move off the scene pretty quick. They can wipe away endless lifetime of crimes against humanity, and we can all get on with our lives. All right, guys. I hope you appreciate the my little art projects, and now you'll have something to refer back to that won't be so far back in my archives that it takes multiple videos to get your head around. Much love and strength, everybody. Peace.